Hey guys, Jordan Tabakman here, barber and business owner. Really excited to be here at the Fitness and Lifestyle Podcast with Danny.
Welcome to the Fitness and Lifestyle Podcast. I'm your host, Danny Kennedy, and I'm here to help you become the very best version of yourself. Beautiful, brother. Welcome to the show, Jordan. It's a pleasure to have you on, man.
Appreciate it. Excited to be here.
Excited to have you here, man. I'm pumped to get into your story today. I mention a lot with the guests that come on the show that regardless of whether it's in health and fitness, business, personal development, whatever it is, I just love talking about people's stories and really starting to understand how they got to where they are now. And so I think for anyone listening or watching at the moment, particularly those that know who you are or come across your social media or your business ventures, it's easy to look at that and be like, fuck, man, this guy's got a great life, crushing business, and it all looks nice and peachy. But I'd love to kind of rewind a little bit and start to understand how your story started, I guess how you even got into the industry in the first place. And we can kind of break it down a little bit and chat about some of the things that, the speed bumps along the way, which I'm sure you've had. Every business owner does. But yeah, man, tell us about whereabouts did you kind of grow up? You grew up in Melbourne?
So yeah, I grew up in McKinnon, like Bentley area. Parents coming from a European background, moving to Australia. Very grateful to be born here, Every day I wake up and I'm like, you look at the news and you see things going on around the world and you're just like, fuck, we live in such a grateful country. Like we have everything we need, So it's something that I hold close to my heart. My parents coming from a rough beginning and bringing everything here. It's just been a whirlwind of a journey so far. But it was funny, my old man first moved to Sydney and he was mucking around with his friends, just typical young, guy from another country, had no idea about Australia or anything or how things work here. And he had a best friend of his and his mum was a hairdresser. And his mum said, all right, you guys are mucking around too much. So come into the shop, you're going to work for me, sweep the floors, things like that. And then Dad was like, all right, let's do it. So, he swept the floors, had his friends coming in, decided I'm going to try cut their hair, just have fun with it. So I'm a second generation barber, which is cool. Dad started the journey. And then he moved to Melbourne with Mum. And from there, he just went all in on the hairdressing career and things like that. And he just started his own shop, which was a women's hairdressing salon. Men's wasn't big back then. It was just, scissor stuff. There was no such thing as fades, clipper work, anything like that. It just wasn't a thing. And then he opened his first salon, Taboo, it was called. And then he did that for quite a while and decided, I see a gap in the market, men's barbering. And he opened his first barbershop across the road to his women's salon. Okay. So he didn't want women and men to be all in the same place, marketing men and women in the same place. Yeah, niche it down. It was a really important thing for him, which worked out well because he created one of the first modern classic barbershops. Mad. And that was in 2006. He founded the Barber Club. So yeah, right. Yeah, so it was quite cool. It was an old school but modern feel to the place. And I grew up in there all the time. Every 2 days I'd get one of the guys, cut my hair, please cut my hair. Yeah. I want to go to school looking good. Yeah. So that was pretty cool.
What style did you have back then?
I went through many styles, man. I had blonde tips in my hair. Like
I went through that phase.
Yeah,
for sure.
I think we all did, put half a kilo of wax in my hair, like push the fringe down, everything spiky, messy. Got over that. I think I tried, I did a mohawk, things like that. Just anything Dad wanted to do, I was like, do whatever you want. Yeah. And I thought I'm going to school looking cool, and I look back at photos now and I'm like, what the fuck were you doing? Like, how did you get away with that? So yeah, then, Dad and I, we didn't have the closest relationship because growing up, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I never really tried too hard in school to focus on academics, things like that. I was more into sport. Loved my footy, basketball, things like that. And then got to 18, finished school, and I was like, what am I doing? Like, where am I going to go with myself, you know? And I was like, I'm going to try landscaping.
Yeah.
I'm going to get out there and try landscaping. Most boys these days and blokes grow up and they're like, oh, I want to be a tradie, you know, it's such a good lifestyle. You're up at 6, you're starting work, you're done by 2, and then life's good. You go to the pub, you drink beers with the boys, and that's what seems fun because I was playing footy.
Yeah.
So everyone I was playing footy with, that's what they were doing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, this is a cool lifestyle. I started doing it. Started going to the pub, having beers, having palmers. I'm like, I fucking hate this.
Yeah.
This is not the life I want. And then from there, I worked in a gym.
Okay.
So it was funny. I didn't work for a bit. And my partner, she said, look, you're doing nothing. Like, what are you going to do with yourself? And I said, I'm going to try work in a gym. I'll go get my PT certificate, Cert 3, 4. Nothing crazy, no like uni, anything like that. I don't know nowadays if it's changed, you probably know, but it's pretty easy to get your Cert 3, 4 in fitness.
Yeah, barrier to entry is pretty fucking low.
Yeah, exactly. And so I did that, and I really enjoyed it. At this stage, I was like heavy into gym. Yeah. Like I love gym. I was there every single day. Like rest day, there was no such thing. Yeah. In hindsight, like it was not a good move because I was always wrecked, but I was just addicted to it. And I'm like, well, if I'm addicted to this, I'm going to go try it, work in a gym. Yeah. My results that I've gotten, I'm going to help other people try and do. So finished my certificate, had a friend of my dad's who had a gym. I'm like, can I come work for you? He said yes. Started working there. As you know, building up clients, you're in that industry. I'm no longer in that industry, but building up clients can be detrimental, like to your mental health, because you're just so unsure of how many clients you're going to get, what kind of income you're going to get weekly, you know. It was just one of those things where
it's very inconsistent.
It's inconsistent, and that's how I always felt. You know, one week I'd have like 40 clients. I'm like, fuck, I just made like $3.5 grand. Yeah. And my rent is like $300. Yeah. I am balling. Yeah. I'm like calling the missus, let's go out. Let's go buy a Louis Vuitton bag. Yeah. You know, I'm like, this is the best. Yeah. Next week I have 10 clients. Yeah. I'm like, fuck, you got the receipt on that bag? I'm like, I need to relax. Like this is I got to find a balance.
It's funny. I literally said to someone the other day, like, there's no way that I would still be in this industry if I was only a PT. Yeah. Like if I just did face-to-face PT, I don't think I would be still in the industry because of the fact that it is so inconsistent. You're completely reliant on other people.
100%.
There's no proper security of income and being able to predict your income. Obviously with the online business and all the rest of the stuff, which has allowed me to stay in the industry. Yeah. But yeah, it's crazy. I think that's something, as you kind of mentioned before, it's like, new PTs don't put too much thought to that because it's similar to what you said about like the tradie lifestyle, right? It's like you look at a PT and you're like, fuck, work a few hours a day, be in the gym, get paid a heap of cash, how good. But it takes time and a lot of effort to build up that clientele base.
Yeah. And, you know, exactly what you're saying. I have an inconsistency of clients. What can I add that's going to add more stream of income? So I started I'm like, get my results from my before when I started gym and to where I'm at now, and just smash that on social media. Yeah, you know, social media wasn't big back then, but it was a platform. Yeah, it was a free advertising platform. You know, I don't have to spend money to post a photo of me here and me now. You know,
organic reach would have been wild too.
Yeah, definitely. And then so I started doing plans, programs, things like that. Nothing to what it's like now. Nothing to what the fitness industry is like now. Back then, 2013, 14, you know, it was Word document. Yeah. You know, example, Callum, here's your program for the week. Yeah. Here's your nutrition plan. Follow this. I didn't even have the right information in my head of what I needed to put on those plans, but I'm very consistent with research, finding out different things. I'm like, if you want to lose weight, calorie deficit.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we got to lower the carbs, things like that. All cookie cutter shit.
Yeah.
You know, and a lot of my high school mates were buying those programs, and I was like, yeah, I'll look after you, $50 a program. They're like, done, wired, straight to you. And then I got a bit of consistency with that, and I started getting good results with these people, you know, because the training that I was doing and the training that they were doing was completely different. And for the goals they wanted to achieve, I was like, we got to change this up, you know. And it worked. And then I think one day a guy bought a plan off me, and I was having a bad day, and I sent him the plan, like I'd got it ready, but I got his name wrong. So like technically I'd sent another program to him, and I was like, he hit me up. He's like, bro, you just sent me this program and it's someone else's name. And I'm like, fuck, that's bad.
Yeah.
Because it's like I'm just copied and pasted everything that I've given to other people.
Yeah.
Which essentially was what I was doing back then, because I was so fresh to the industry. I had no idea about, you know, the specifics of what it had to take to do it properly, customizing it properly. I didn't have people around me teaching me, you know, and in that industry I was in the gym environment back then, it was quite toxic, you know, so I was this young 18, 19-year-old, like doing well in there, and then you got 30, 40-year-olds who are just like talking shit, trying to steal your clients, and you're like, again, it's not for me. You know, so landscaping, not for me. PT world, not for me. I ended up working on the reception at that gym instead of PTing. I was like, I'm over PTing. I said to Peter, I'm happy to do reception, or I'm just happy to leave. Yeah. And he's like, yeah, do reception, all good. I enjoyed it for a bit. I felt like a salesman. I was signing up members, things like that. But that was like going from $2-3 grand a week to like you're on a wage $650 a week. And then I was like, no, it's not for me. I know I can do more than what I'm doing sitting here.
Yep.
You know, so I finished up there. At this point, I'm living out the back of my parents' house in a little granny flat. You know, I'd met my missus. My missus moved in 2 weeks after we met. You know, it was just me and her. We were just having fun. Yeah. And for 3 months, I didn't have a job, nothing like that. And the money ran out. I'm like, fuck, I got to do something. So she was like, why don't you try barbering? Your family's in hair. Your mum was a hairdresser. Your dad's a hairdresser and barber. And I was like, I'm not doing that. Me cutting hair? Like, it's not, there's no way. I'm like, at this stage, I was like muscular, like fit, a footy player. I'm like, if I go cut hair, all the boys are going to start laughing at me. I don't want to be like that. So we shut that down for like a week, and then I went and got a haircut, and I'm seeing, and because it was in my head, subconsciously it was in my head, I'm like, all right, go get a haircut. Shop's full. Vibe is mad. People are laughing, having fun. The barbers are doing what they're doing. I'm like, maybe I could do it. Yeah. You know, we'll try it. You know, I've got a perfect platform. I've got a family business there. And I enrolled in an academy. Said, all right, pull the trigger. Let's do it. A day before the first intake, I pulled out. I shit myself. I was like, nah, I'm not doing this.
Backed out.
I can't do it. It's not going to work out. I've got to go find something else that's going to work. Maybe I'll get back in construction, something like that. Just, you know.
So how old were you at this point?
19. Yeah. And then I'm like, you know what? That's it. I enroll in the next intake, because the next intake was 8 weeks later. So it was another 2 months of doing nothing. I'm like, how am I? Like, I can't buy anything. Yeah. I can't take the love of my life out for dinner and enjoy a nice night out. Yeah. I can't go get a new pair of socks. I literally can't do anything. And at this stage, again, I'm still into gym. Like, I'm enjoying it. I can't afford my protein. Can't afford all my supplements I need. So I'm still training. I'm stealing all my fucking friends' protein, things like that. They're cool with it. They're like, yeah. Month later, they're like, bro, you've used like all my protein. I'm like, I don't have it right now. Yeah. I can't afford it. I'm just going to be honest. And I've always had good friends where we're very honest with each other. And then, so yeah, I'm like, next intake, I'm in. So enrolled, went in. The dude, Ben, funny story, my dad learned hairdressing properly from the same academy I learned barbering. Wow. They started doing a barber component of hairdressing. Okay. and Ben's dad, who owns Bieber, with Ben and his brother and their mum, he laughed. He said, "I saw your name in the intake," and then
The previous one.
he's like, "You didn't show up." I'm like, I shit myself.
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you, I just wasn't ready. And then got into it and started learning the craft, and just I think we were there 4 days a week.
Yeah.
And every time like I tried to do something, I'm like, this is not for me. Like I don't understand all these layering techniques, all these long hair stuff, because you got to learn the fundamentals, the basics, long hair, how to cut, how to use your scissors, things like that. And over time, and back then it was an 8-week course. It wasn't like now, it's a 2-year proper apprenticeship.
Yeah, okay.
You know, so it's like, how am I going to get I'm 3 weeks in, I don't actually understand anything. You know,
the other side of you got to come out and start working.
Yeah, we've done our theory stuff. We're getting into the practical stuff. I'm trying to cut hair. I'm cutting half my finger off every time. And I'm like, is this going to click? And then Ben was a good mentor to me. He said, you know, one day you're just going to wake up and it's going to click. Like everything will make sense. And it literally is what happened. Like, you know, and I'm watching videos at home, after hours stuff. You know, it's not just go to class, come home, fuck around.
Yeah.
And it just clicked. Everything clicked. The scissor work clicked. The clipper work clicked. And it wasn't good. Like they weren't good haircuts, but it clicked. It all started making sense, you know, the basic fundamentals. And then I finished up, got my qualification, which was a component of hairdressing. And then I said to Dad, like, can I come work for you? And he was so proud. He was like, yes.
That would have been an awesome feeling for him.
It was definitely. And then it was a funny situation because I'd come to work, and back then it was a walk-in barbershop.
Okay.
Right? So it was no bookings. It wasn't like you come at 9 o'clock and I'm there waiting for you because you're booked in. It was just like whoever walks in, you're in.
Yeah.
I'd rock up at 10 o'clock because there was no bookings, you know. And this was in the first few weeks. I'd rock up an hour late. I'd say to Dad, "Oh, Dad, it's quiet." It wasn't quiet, but I'd say, "Oh, it's quiet. Can I go home?" Your dad, he's going to say yes, you know, like my dad's always been so good in that sense where like his compassion and who he is in his heart is just like the best person in the world, you know, not a bad bone in his body. So he'd never say no to anything. Now it's different. Like now where we are and everything that we've got going on, it's like yes or no, just straight up.
Yeah.
So after 3 months working there, this was at the Bentley shop, the first barber club, when it was like old school, you know, different branding, different everything was different. We had different type of barbers, and he sat down with me. He's like, "I can't do this anymore." I'm like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "You're not working here anymore. You just come whenever you want. You leave whenever you want.
Yeah.
You're not putting in effort you should be putting into the clients. Like this is at the end of the day my business, you know, and you're being detrimental to the business. So I think you need to go and learn somewhere else, like and progress and do your own thing." And like I couldn't sleep that night. I was like, that crumbled me on the inside, you know. I was like, this is my family telling me I can't be a part of what they're doing anymore.
Yeah.
And as a 19-year-old, you're just like, that's it, game over.
Did that, because I mean, once you first started there with your old man, I'm assuming that like kind of helped you guys bond a little bit, even like a bit closer. And then so how did you, like, what did that do to your relationship once he kind of said, you know, time's up?
So like I was saying before, our relationship before I became a barber was almost non-existent.
Right.
Like there was not much we could really relate to because his interests, and it doesn't have to be where your dad's interests need to be your interests and vice versa, but we just, you know, he'd come home from work and I'd be like, "What's up?" And that was it. End of conversation. We'd have dinner, and because I didn't know what to talk to him about.
Yeah.
I'd talk about footy. You don't like footy that much, you know. So when I was working in there at the start, it was great. Like we were talking about everything. for me, it was like at that early stage, tools and styling products and learning about that, and he'd be teaching me all that. So that was cool. Like we'd go home and we'd talk about it more.
Mm-hmm.
And when he said, you got to move on, go do your own thing, like to me, that just switched this thing in my head where I'm like, all right, enough's enough. I got to stop fucking around, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't go work somewhere else I did go work somewhere else to benefit myself, but I went there because I had this fire inside of me. It's like the only two people that I love dearly, like my mum and my dad, telling me like I'm detrimental on their family business. It's like, you got to change something.
Because that can go one of two ways, right?
Yeah,
you can either go the way that you went, or it can be like, all right, fuck you, and then just completely separate yourself, and that could be the end of that relationship.
100%. And that's today how I wake up. I'm like so proud that happened and so grateful that happened, because if that hadn't happened, we wouldn't be in the position we're in, business-wise, relationship-wise, things like that. Yeah. So I reached out to, at the time, the most well-known barbershop brand, you'd know, King's Domain, at that time, and said, I'm interested in working for you guys. You know, inside I'm like, I really want to work here.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm looking at their social media stuff and I'm like, this is a place to be. I could learn a lot. I went and had an interview with Aaron, got the job, started pretty much the following week, and it was just so much to take in. So different to what, you know, you go from a walk-in classic style shop to a high-end appointment-based shop, you know. And the biggest change for me was you don't have all the time in the world to do a haircut. It's like your appointment is 30 minutes, 9 to 9:30, and that includes a haircut, a beard trim, style, all that has to be done, you know. So the systems they had in place at the time taught us that quickly. You know, they had an academy set up, and they put me through, I think it was like a few days of how they cut hair. And I picked it up pretty quick. I adapt pretty quickly to a lot of situations. And that was me thrown into the deep end. We were like 8:30, we got there, 8 p.m. we finished. It wasn't like rock up at 10, leave at 2 or 3 like I was before. It's just like, this is real. And that was a high traffic area, like shop. So we were busy. You know, you used to go there. You know, I probably met you 6-7 years ago. You would come in there, you know. And so I adapted well, and simply because I had to. I didn't have a choice, you know. If you're running late and you're doing 10 minutes overtime on one client, then you've only got 20 minutes for the next haircut and could be beard trim. Stresses you out. You're like, oh, fuck, I got to get these routines in place.
Got a lot more accountability now.
And then I was enjoying my time. I had a really good group of barbers around me, you know, a lot that I could learn from. And there was a dude, his name's Tim. He owns a barbershop called Paragon now, not too far, Armadale. And Tim and I would work next to each other. We would just bounce off each other ideas. You know, what kind of haircuts do we want to get better at? So we'd work out 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. and we'd spend an hour and a half after work doing more haircuts on our friends. We'd get our friends in. And to me, that was the only way that I found actually accelerated my skills and made me better and understand hair more. Because, you know, you can do your, I'll just say 9 to 5, but you're going to learn from 5 to 9 after that.
100%.
You know what I mean? That's just simple as that. And so we would just do that. And then I had Aaron, my boss, who taught me so much. Like, he was probably one of the biggest mentors in my life, you know, just seeing his approach to business, his approach to his clients, you know, the general respect, the way he works the room with his team, things like that. It's just so valuable.
With people.
So, you know, it was funny. Every day you'd have to pack your tools up, pack them away, and tomorrow you weren't going to be in the same spot. You know, like you walk into my shop now, I'm in the same spot. The boys have got their spots. That's just how it is. And every day I'd want to be right next to Aaron. Because I wanted to pick his brain. Like, I wanted to hear, how does he talk to his clients, you know? what are the little things he does that has his column fully booked out every day and charging X amount, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I'm not going to learn that at the back of the shop.
Yeah.
You know, next to the apprentices who
exactly.
who are just watching us learning things like that. I've got to be there. So I had to be one of those guys that was just there super early so I could set up my tools before anyone else, you know. And in hindsight, I felt, did that make a bit of a relationship effect with the other barbers, things like that? And now it's like, I don't give a fuck. It's like what I had to do to learn from those particular people had to be done. You know, it's just simple as that. And
it's also like a credit to yourself to even have that self-awareness to do that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because as you said, I think you see it, you know, I'll compare it to personal training. I was very much the same in my journey early on. It's like all the work that goes on outside of actually being in the gym and all the research and all the networking and the taking every opportunity you can get, trying to learn from the best. It's like for a lot of people, regardless of what industry they're in, it's like once you get that qualification, once you get the job, as you said, show up 9 to 5, do your time, piss off, and that's kind of it. It's just the on or off switch, but that's not what gets you to the level, you know, that you're at now, or to get to the highest level of any industry. It's what goes on outside of the regular hours that are just standard. It's like that should be an absolute given that you come in and do the work at the start, but all the growth happens outside of that. Otherwise, you don't reach those levels of success or growth that you're in now.
Yeah, spot on, definitely. So then for me, you know, I had Aaron in the barbershop and across the road, his partner for King's Domain, Joey Scandizo, who's like the most renowned hairdresser in Australia, looks after all the high-end clients. But on top of that, just literally one of the best persons I've ever met in my life, you know, helped me all the way through. And then I said, all right, like, I'm not into this photographic stuff. At the time, I wasn't into education and stuff like that. What's my niche? What path can I take? Because in barbering and hairdressing, you can take, there's hundreds of paths. You can go down, you know, photographic collections, education, business ownership, management, things like that, work from home by yourself. There's like heaps of different paths you can take. And I looked at Joey and I was like, this dude's got all the celebrities coming in. He's got like some of the most famous women and guys that come over here. Who gets called up when they want a haircut? Joey did. You know, that was just common knowledge. Everyone knew it. And so for years, would catch up for breakfast. We'd go play tennis, things like that. And I'd pick his brain, like, again, something that I didn't tell him at the time. It was just something I knew I had to do. At the end of the day, the more brains you pick, the more you learn, the more knowledge you gain. It's just common sense. So I'm like, there's no barbers really doing what Joey's doing. There's no barbers really looking after real high-end celebrities. Is that my niche? Can I try something like that? And the location of where we were, South Yarra, it was a perfect opportunity for me to try and do that. And we had a girl, Indy. She was our social media manager, marketing manager, things like that. So I got in contact with her directly, you know, through obviously Aaron and the crew, and she'd pop in the shop weekly and things like that. So I'd say, you know, if you've got any celebs or TV stars or footy players or anything, send them my way, and you know, I'm happy to pay for their appointment. Yeah, like, you know, it was just something that back then it wasn't a thing of how influential the social media world is. It's, you know, there wasn't, hey, come in, do a post and free this, free that, we'll look after you on this. It was just like, I'll pay for them. I'm happy to do that. Yeah, I was making $800 a week working those kind of hours, you know, and I didn't have it again, you know, but I was living at home. I didn't have any rent to pay or anything. So that $800 a week, you know, if I budgeted $100 a week to two guys who had some kind of, you know, either sports background or influential background in any way, I'll do it. I'll pay for it. So it began like Indy hooked me up with I'm not going to name names right now, but I'm going to say like you've got your mid-level footy players, your high-level footy players. Same in any industry. You got your mid-level, high-level kind of people. And I said, I'll take anything. You send anyone in you want. I'll take, photos with them. I'll create the content that you guys can use and that I'll use for my page and stuff like that. So it started at like, I don't want to say average footy players or anything, but guys who are not superstars. Yeah. They're just like decent, good footy players. Yeah. And they'd come in and I was like, all right, I'm getting a bit of traction. I've got this guy who's decent, he's just sent his mate in. Yeah. And then things change. Instead of me paying for them, it was like the guys started to see the value in them coming in. Yeah. So, all like right, Aaron. We'll give you Aaron, Indy, stuff like that. So we'll give you a free haircut. You do a story for us or whatever, things like that. For me, it didn't bother me. I wanted to get the photo for my content, for my page, Yeah. And it kind of just spiraled in a way that the biggest kind of iconic sports star that came in at the start was Nick Kyrgios, who I've had a relationship with for 7-8 years now. Yeah. And he walked in, like, this was post-cutting Thanasi Kokkinakis, the other Aussie tennis player. So Joey actually sent Thanasi in to me, which was cool. He was very good. He's very good, very well known. And to me, I'm like, fuck, I made it. Like, I got this Thanasi Kokkinakis, such a gun tennis player, And I don't know anything about tennis, but I'm like, this dude's a man. Because I didn't know Nick at the time. Yeah. And then I cut his hair, and the next day he comes back in, and he's got Nick Kyrgios. And Thanasi comes up, and Nick comes up. He's like, can you cut Nick's hair? I go look at the computer. I'm like, fuck, I think I'm booked out. Yeah. And I say to him, I'm fully booked out. Like, I can't, there's no one I can cancel. Yeah. It's just, I can't do that. The client's booked in. Yeah. That's their appointment.
Paying customers,
To me, I don't care who you are, respectfully. Yeah. But, Aaron, happy to fit you in. He'll look after you. So Aaron did Nick's hair to start. And then I was just chatting to him and I gave him my number and I said, if you want a haircut next few days, send me a text. I'm like, I won't hear from this dude, but I'll put it out there. Yeah. It's a important thing, that you build relationship and you put yourself out there a little bit more than, other people do. Yeah, yeah. And so I said, text me whenever, went home, whatever. I didn't realize he likes getting his haircut every 2 days. Yeah. So the next day he texts me, he's like, bro, I need to clean up tomorrow. And this is the Aussie Open time. So he's like right into it. And he was doing really well then. Yeah. So I cut his hair. We just formed this relationship. Like, we just had so many mutual things that we liked, basketball, NBA, just all different sports, and we just clicked like that. And then he invited me to go to his games. I was sitting in the box. I'm like, this is unreal. Yeah, yeah. And I didn't even ask him. I'm like, you don't ask a high caliber person like that with millions of followers, can you post a photo of me? Yeah, yeah. Just not a thing. I've never done that in my career. Yeah. Like, there's not one person that I've said, can you post a photo of anything? It's just like, if I've got the content for my social media, I've got enough reach to hit that demographic of young sports fans, building that up over time. And he posted a photo of me and him like that afternoon. Like, we got a cool photo. And my Instagram went from, would have probably been like 5,000, 6,000 people to like 13,000, 14,000, just like bang.
Instantly.
And then I'm looking at the bookings. Like, I'm coming in day after day looking at the bookings. I got all these new people just coming in, and they're coming in asking like about Nick, things like that. And on top of that, footy players, like, now we go from like mid-level, and then we got the higher end footy players. They're like, yo, can I get a haircut? Yeah. Yeah, sweet, done. I'll book you in, Again, I say at this stage, we do offer this. You got two options. Like, you can pay, or you can post a story, tag King's Domain, and we'll give it to you complimentary. Mm-hmm. All of them were like, yeah, that's fine, I'll post a story. Because Instagram back then, it wasn't as like, you couldn't monetize it as much as you can now. And
Yeah.
people care way too much now about like
fucking
posting
oath.
shit,
Yeah.
like stories. Like the guys that I deal with now, they don't give a fuck like about posting a story with you. You know, if you've built that relationship and you're good with them and they're good with you, like it's beneficial for you, like for them as well. You know, if they're feeling good about themselves after a good haircut, great, they're going to post it.
Of course.
If, you know,
if you're doing your job properly, they're going to want to do it.
Yeah. But it's a personable thing as well, where it's like, if you're an asshole and you're not getting along with them, obviously they're not going to continue that relationship.
Exactly.
You know, and the guys that I've looked after from day one until now.
Yeah.
You know, a few of them have moved on to other states and plays for different teams, things like that. But when they come down, text, yo, can I come in?
Yeah.
You know, so it's cool like that. So Nick really blew it up for me in a sense where started getting different footy players, you know. Dustin Martin came in. Dustin's one of my best mates now. Like, we've built this relationship. We live next door to each other. You know, he's been through things, I've been through things, and we've got that friendship where we don't go out whatsoever. Like, we don't drink, we don't party, we don't do any of that. I say, if you want to do that, that's your choice. He doesn't do that anymore, like, at all. But it's something where it's not even brought up in our friendship, you know. For us, it's like, let's go for a walk. Let's go for a nice dinner, Japanese, something like that. Can you cut my hair Christmas Eve at midnight? You know, things like that. Like, that's our friendship. So he came in, started coming in, and again, it was just one of those things. I got the best footy player in the country coming in and I'm cutting his hair, you know, and what does that do? Retrospectively, it brings in a lot of other clients that love footy, and people love sports stars and they want to come in, they want to see you for a haircut because they want to know more about them. They think they're going to come in and get personal information, things like that. And there's things I know that we all know and that you just cannot repeat to anyone, you know, it's just a common sense thing. So in saying that, like, it's just been this spiral effect where it's gone from, like, you know, decent footy players, good footy players, decent tennis players, amazing tennis players. And then, you know, I started to get a little bit, not over it, but like, it's like, these guys are just humans.
Yeah, of course.
I never was once starstruck, which is why we all formed really good relationships. It was just, you know, some people...
genuine personal relationship.
It's just like, it's like me and you sitting here. I could sit with them all day and talk over a coffee and talk about life and talk about past experiences and future things going on, you know, because it's just that kind of relationship, you know, and it's that honesty between each other that's so important.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to be anyone other than who I am, nor are they, you know, and a lot of them actually really enjoy feeling normal, as crazy as that sounds. Like, they've got everything they have in the world, the money,
just having a genuine conversation with someone that's not talking to them because they're a football player. Exactly. Right. Yeah.
You know, and for them to sit down with someone that's just stock standard, you know, it's good for them. They feel normal, you know. So I was getting a bit over it, posting the same shit every second day. It's like, all right, I got this guy in, got that guy in. It's cool. You know, I got NBA players in. I got like really big people, but it's not tickling my fancy anymore. It's like it's repetitive. You know, it gets likes, it gets views, it gets follows, all that. But what is that doing to put money in my pocket? At that time, I didn't care about that. It was like, I've got a plan. Something along the line is going to work out with either one of these dudes or the network of those people, you know. And then I said, all right, I'm going to try education. So I'm going to start teaching. So one of the expos came around. I don't think it's around anymore, the Australian Hair Expo. And Aaron was like, you and Tim should do it, because Tim and I had done so much after hours stuff, you know. And I'm like, yeah, all right, let's do it. You know, at that stage, I was like, nothing scares me anymore in this industry. Like, you cut hair.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're not performing brain surgery. You're not. It's not rocket science. You're cutting hair. There's things that can go wrong, but
it's also something that you've done over and over and over and over again that you've just continued to master. You know?
Exactly. Like that repetitive nature, it becomes like you don't think about it. You talk, you have that relationship with your client, and you don't think about what you're doing. You're clippering, stuff like that. It just becomes repetitive.
Yeah.
And that can be bad as well, because if you're not changing up techniques and things like that, it becomes stale.
Mm-hmm.
Just like, and I've seen a lot of barbers fall off because they're not adapting or they're not
Closed
trying
mindset.
other things. Yeah, that's what it is. And so we got to this hair expo. It was in Sydney. And Tim and I got up on stage. And I had never felt more nervous in my life. Like, I was wearing a tight button-up shirt. I got my pants on. I got these lights coming from everywhere that are like, I'm pretty sure they were heat lights, because I was dying on stage. I'm like, I can't do this. Midway, I'm going to pass out. Got through that, and I was like, maybe this is for me, you know, because I started seeing footage that people were posting or just sharing to me, you know. And I'm like, I didn't even know I said that. Well, that's actually all right. Like, I could elaborate on that and build on that and build on this whole thing, you know. And then after that, me and Tim were looking for like any opportunity we could to educate. And we'd say, so we'd have monthly training at King's Domain. So we'd always say to Aaron, can we take training next month? Because it was a whole company training.
Okay.
So we had South Yarra, Collins Street, Richmond, Paran, everyone together once a month. I think we started at like 8 a.m., finished at 10, and it would always be hands-on training.
Yep.
And every opportunity I could get, I was like, I want to teach. Like, I want to do more, because like anything, the more experience you get in that aspect of what you're doing in your career, the better you're going to get. And once you feel like you've nailed it, you can still get better. There's still so many different other avenues that you can do. And so we'd done a few expos over the years. I was at King's Domain for 2016 to 2021, 2020, around that. So I'd done a solid run there. And we'd done our education things. And towards the end, I'd got invited. So I got a sponsorship with Andis Clippers.
Yep.
And that sponsorship came out of one of the last expos I'd done. And we were on stage, and the boss from America had come down for that expo. And she saw us on stage, and she said, you guys look like you could be a part of what we're trying to build here, a new education team with Andis Clippers. And I said, straight away, I was like, I'll think about it. I'm like inside, yes, this is what I've wanted the whole time, you know, like I want that Clipper sponsorship.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't care about the money. It's like free Clippers.
Yeah.
Give me all the Clippers, you know. And it was such an exciting moment for me and such a proud moment, because again, it was related back to Dad firing me.
Yeah.
You know, it was like, oh, I just got a good sponsorship deal. Not financially, just like a good opportunity, you know.
Reaffirming all the work you'd put in.
Yeah. And then they invited me to come out to India. This was 6 years ago. And I said to Aaron, Andis invited me to come to India to do education. So there was two teams. There was a national team and an international team. And the boss from America put me on the international team. So I was like, this is amazing. I get to go travel around different countries and educate, thinking it would be like the be-all, end-all, you know. And I said to Aaron, I've been invited to go for it was like a 3.5 week roadshow tour with Andis around India, like every major city. And then he's like, I can't give you the annual leave off. Like, it's the timing of when you need to go is like such a busy period for us. And I felt so bad. And like, I literally, again, I couldn't sleep. I'm like, what do I do? Like, I've got to really have a think, what do I do? Do I stay where I'm at? Am I happy with everything that's happening? And I was happy. It's just personal growth. I was like so addicted to getting better and better at what I was doing.
You'd reached a bit of a ceiling.
I'd reach a ceiling, like I was saying with the celebrity thing at the time. Like, it's like, how much can you do?
Yeah.
You know? And I came to work a few days later. I was like, as like, I got to finish up because I need to go do this. Like, I just have this feeling in my gut, and I don't want to because I love working here. Like, I absolutely love working at King's Domain. It was, for me, so much fun.
Yeah.
And I'm like, am I making the right decision? You know? Anyway, I pulled the trigger. I was like, I'll figure it out. Like, after I'll figure it out, you know, maybe I'll come back and I'll get on my knees and beg him for my job back.
Yeah.
But I got to do it. So I quit King's Domain, man, and I was like, I couldn't sleep for like a week after. It was just the most scariest thought. I'm like, I'm back to no job. I don't have a job. And towards the end of the year when that tour was, it was good in a sense because they were paying me per day I was working for them. So I was still making money. I got to India and I was like, what am I doing? Like, this place is nuts. Is this for me? Have I just given up something that I'm in love with to do this? I rock up, meet the manager from India. He's a really good dude. Rohit, he passed away not long ago, but he helped me so much, like networking in India and stuff like that. And again, I wouldn't be where I'm at today without his help. And I met him, great dude, relationship was great. And we did a little conference thing with the Anders team in India. And then the next day it was like straight into it. 9 a.m, you're on stage. And I'm thinking like Hair Expo stage, we've got like 50 people, 60 people watching, you know, it's going to be cool, all sweet. I rock up to the venue, there's like 500 chairs. And I'm like, we're not getting 500 people, are we? He's like, we'll be getting 500 sitting down and 300 standing around. And I'm like, what?
Fuck.
I'm like, fuck. This is real. This is like, I've got to really switch on. Show comes, we do the show. It's unbelievable. Like, I'd practice in my head what I was going to say so much that like, you forget 50% of it anyway when you're on stage. Probably same as doing podcasts, things like that. You want to say certain things and it's like just flies over your head. And so I got into the show, did well. I was real happy because everything was sent back to us after so I could watch it over.
Yeah, cool.
And I'm like, I can learn for the next one. So we finished the first one up, 5 a.m. next morning, we're flying to a different city. 10 a.m, we're starting another show. Bang. Everything's set up. It's like the way that they managed everything was unbelievable. It was like crazy. You'd rock up. And when I talk about setup, I'm talking about like Crown Palladium size. You know, it wasn't like a small room or anything like that. So we got through that. That was 3.5 weeks. And they gave me 1 day off. And that one day, like I get a call in the morning from my manager, Rohit. He's like, there's this guy. He wants you to come and train his salon, personal salon. I'm like, Rohit, there is no way. Like 1 day off in 3.5 weeks when we're flying to a different city every day. Do not even talk to me. Like, I'm literally just going to lay in bed, not move. He's like, this dude is pretty big. And I was like, fuck. One of those gut feelings. I'm like, all right. I've always gone off gut feeling, like with everything I've done.
Intuition,
you know, intuition. And for me, it was like, what is the harm in not actually doing it? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's worse than actually doing it.
Yeah.
So I'll just do it. I'll try it. So I said, all right, whatever, we'll do it. Let's go. So half an hour later, I'm picked up by a driver, taken to the salon. I'm like, this salon is just like, you know, normal salon. Like, what? Why did I need to do this? This dude rocks in, looks like Elvis Presley without hair, like just absolute rock star, like dressed up sick. His name's Alim Hakim. He's like one of my best friends in India now.
Yeah.
I'm training his staff and like we're having fun and we're so relatable in what we like and things like that. And I'm like, he's showing me social media. Dude's got like 1.5 million followers and he's cutting all the celebrities in India. I'm like, shit, like thank God I did this because we've got that relationship now, you know. Fast forward a few years, like he hits me up. He's like, I got all the cricket boys coming to town, you know, they want you to look after them. They come down, I didn't hear anything. I'm like, all right, all good, whatever. And then that time had passed, things like that, and I'd come back from India or whatever, and I said, what am I doing? I don't have a job now. Like, this tour was great. I made decent money for my day rate at the time. I thought was decent money. You know, it helped a lot.
Yeah.
And Dad said, I'm proud of you. Like, what you've done over the last 4 years is very good. Like, you know, come back. I'm like, sure? And he said, yeah, come back. He goes, I know that now you've learned systems, you've learned structure, which was the most important. You've learned being accountable. And I said, all right, let's do it. I went and worked in Bentley again. At this time, we had another shop in Bentley called Main Street. It was probably 150 metres down the road, different brand. And that was because we were so busy at the Barber Club.
Yeah, okay.
So I went and worked there and, you know, just did my thing, cutting, things like that. Over a few months, started attracting, because I was smashing content, like haircuts, only haircuts.
Yeah.
And my haircuts were decent. Like, they were good enough for me to post and be proud of it.
Yeah.
And started attracting some kind of momentum with staff and like guys that wanted to work with us, you know, because again, you look from the outside perspective and you see someone that's gone international to educate, you know, maybe they've got their shit together, they know what they're doing. If I network with this guy, then maybe I'll be able to do things as well.
Yeah,
you know, and that's the best part of my job and my career and our businesses, is that everyone that comes on board like has an opportunity to do anything they want because of the network that we've got now. You know, so work there, got a bit over it in a sense that for me, repetitive nature is great, but the exact same thing being repeated non-stop can become mundane and boring, and it's just not for me.
Yeah.
So Dad and I discussed doing a shop in Port Melbourne. So found a perfect spot, pulled the trigger, got it up and going, you know, was in there 6 days a week, just pumped it, you know. And I had that idea of invite celebrities in, give them the free haircut, give them some free products, stuff like that, because that's what's going to instantly, and it does, it instantly grows your business, because the people around those areas, they see it.
Social proof is massive, Yeah.
So did that, built that up. We've been doing really well with that space there. We're expanding to another 2 spots in Melbourne now, you know. And then all apart from Melbourne, which I love, like I love being in Melbourne. You know, I get to travel the world. I've traveled to Russia, India, Malaysia, all different parts of the world to cut hair. And it's been an amazing experience, but nothing beats having a set place where you've got your business.
Your base.
Yeah, you've got your base.
Yeah.
And you've got your space that you can work out and do anything you want in there. You know, you don't have to ask for permission or anything like that. It's just a great thing. And this is what I've told the boys: you guys have an open space, utilize it, utilize the brand, utilize whatever network you need. If you need something, you know that I know that person and I can help you do that, you know. So opening Port Melbourne was my kind of take on our brand. I wanted to go for like clean greys, neon signs, grass wall, just real modern and clean and comfortable. You walk in, you feel comfortable. You don't feel like it's a classic barbershop that's just already been done. Every second street has a classic looking barbershop. You know what I mean? And Dad was a bit iffy about it. He was like, no, like let's just do.
It was slightly off brand with his line.
Yeah, so we opened Port Melbourne, and for me it was like, we need to modernise the brand, because I'd come from a modern brand like King's Domain at that time, which is like the modern style of brand, you know. And he's like, a bit iffy about it. He's like, I don't know, like it's not really what we do. I'm like, well, me coming from my background now, it's what we need to do.
Yeah,
you know, it's one of those things where for you and I to grow and grow our brand, we have to do a modern shop.
Yep.
So he agreed to it. We built it, and like straight away, people were like, "This shop's beautiful. Like the branding, the rebranding that you've done. It's like it stands out nice. You know, it's got that soft approach to it.
Mm-hmm.
It's not super manly. It's not feminine. It's like a perfect balance. It's inviting to everybody, you know. And so over time, we just built that up. And then I said to Dad, you know, we need to rebrand Bentley, because Bentley still had that classic look, you know. And the staff were totally different. Like the guys that we had in Port Melbourne and the guys that we had in Bentley back in the day, they were different. There's different elements to barbering.
Yeah.
You know, you've got like, you walk in quick, in and out, like smash them, done. Make as much money as you can.
Yep.
It's quantity over quality.
Yeah.
You know, and that was never Dad's, but it was just a little bit above that.
Yeah.
It was like good haircut, quick. You know, but how quick can you do a good haircut?
Yeah.
You know. And after a month, you know, he said, "Yeah, all right, let's do it." You know, like we'd put enough money together in the business where we could afford to renovate Bentley.
Yeah.
So we renovated Bentley. We aligned the brand, and for me, it was just like such an exciting opportunity that we'd gotten the brand to how I envisioned everything. You know. And it's funny, it started like, because we're on the beach in Port Melbourne, I wanted to make it a bit like Miami Vice style, you know, Vice City Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah.
And so we put the neon sign up, we put a pink flamingo after the Barber Club, and Dad was like, "What are you putting this pink flamingo up for? What has that got anything to do with the brand?" I said, "We got hundreds of palm trees out the front, we're on the beach, like, it's just a nice soft element to the shop, you know." Everyone's walking in, they're like, "I love your flamingo. I love your flamingo." That's sick, you know. And fast forward, when we renovated Bentley, he's like, "Where'd you order that flamingo from?" I was like, "Nah." I'm like, anyway, I said, "Look, we won't put a flamingo in Bentley because it's a different kind of, you know, demographic, but we'll put EST 2006 in pink after the blue Barber Club." He's like, "Yeah, all right." So we did that. And then the biggest like soft change to the physical visual of the shop was the grass wall that we have in the back. Because before it was just grey, like concrete wall. And it looked a bit bare, like we'd take content, social media and stuff, and that fully changed everything, you know, to the content aspect of it. So from there, I was still with Andis at the time, and I'd been with them for 6 years. And for me, like if I'm with a brand, I'm with a brand long term. Like that's just what I do, you know. And I started to like feel I enjoyed the brand, I enjoyed the tools, but I said, again, I've done enough of what I'm doing in this space. What else can I do, you know? And I'm like, I don't really need to be sponsored by any kind of brand or anything. I just want to focus on building the Barber Club because we have an opportunity where we could expand quickly. We could do like big things with this brand if we work on it properly. And in the current digital world we're in, we can brand it well, and you know what I mean, with that 100%. Kind of stuff. And then, so I left Andis, again, one of those things where I was like, is it a good idea? You know, I've been with them for a while. They've given me really good opportunities. At that point, they'd gotten me to where I was, in a sense of international education, the networking, the people I met in every country I'd been into. You know, they were throwing me offers to come back out and educate for them personally. You know, so the network had grown in that aspect. And I was like, I probably don't need to overthink this too much because I've done my part. Like I was the lead educator for the Australian New Zealand team. I was on the international team for Andis, you know, and the last trip I did was the UK last, 2 years ago. Went over to the UK with Tori, who you know well. And the whole team, and a friend of mine, Anthony from Adelaide. So there was 3 of us from Australia. Oh, and Shella, another girl. I'll throw her in there. And yeah, we did the Barber Connect, which is the biggest barbering show in the UK, which was cool. For me, it's like you're on stage, and we actually had a real cool concept because it was the team from different countries. So it was like show what's modern in your country and the style that works for you guys. And I did a mullet skin fade. And I was like, is this going to work? A mullet skin fade? Like, do these people understand this kind of haircut? And then a show after us, a dude came on who's like one of the most famous barbers in the world. He came on and he was asked, what's trending? And he's like, mullet skin fades. And I'm sitting there watching and I'm like, fuck, I did that.
Yeah, man.
Like, we've for so long followed trends from the UK, from Europe, Spain, things like that. Australia's been behind with that, but that's the one haircut that is trended before anyone else, you know, the mullet.
Yeah.
A modern approach to it, because there's some dirty mullets that you've seen around and like don't look good, but the modern, good, clean mullet, you know, with a skin fade. And that was a cool feeling. Like,
yeah, for sure.
Like hearing the best of the best in the UK saying that's what's trending. And then, so we came back and I was still a bit like, I feel like I could do without this because I really just want to focus on growing the brand. And pulled the trigger again. I finished up with Andis, you know, amicable terms. It was all good. Like, I literally just said I want to focus on my brand and that's it. A few months had gone by. I'm pumping our content, our social media and things like that. And a dude reaches out from another clipper brand. And I'm like, I'll sit down, I'll have a coffee with you, we'll talk about it because I really like those clippers. I'm I really love these clippers. But I'll play it cool, like I don't want to jump back into anything yet. You know? I'm so locked in on growing our brand and I don't want to put my time to too much other things apart from family, relationship, business, you know? And we sit down and we just have this talk and I'm like, this dude is a really good dude. Like his vision for what he wants to do with the brand and the knowledge I have with the industry and clippers and things like that and how I can push this brand. I said, like I can do it. But at this stage, I'd not really made any money from brand deals or anything like that, you know? So I said to him, I'm locked in on my brand so much, the Barber Club, and have so much things to do. Like if you want me to join, you know, with you, there's got to be something in it for me financially. Yeah. Because I can't afford the time to put into this. Yeah. Unless I mark out time from my business that I'll put in the time to do.
Yeah. Which then leaves money on the table from what you could have made from your own business anyway. Yeah.
So in hindsight, it was good because, you know, I signed a contract with them. It was a good, lucrative deal, and I was very happy about that. But again, that money goes to the time that I put into what I do for that brand, of course. You know. So those clippers, Gamma clippers, they're an Italian brand, you know, and we just got cracking. We came up with a role for me, so lead educator for Australia and New Zealand, put together an education team and a team of ambassadors, you know, so you've got your educators who look after classes, things that I've done, so I've got that knowledge in that, like I can help these people elevate into becoming really good educators. And then we got the ambassadors who are the social media experts that are good with creating, you know, TikTok and, you know, reels, things like that. I got no idea about TikTok, so we got a dude that looks after all that, you know. So I've given everybody a different role for the brand, and like everything's been going great.
That's awesome.
Know? Carmelo, who's the boss, has come to me and said, you know, we need to push this product, you know. So all right, cool, let's create content using our ambassadors with this kind of product, you know, for that week. Done, easy. And no one has a problem with it because they know their role. Yeah. You know, so it works really well. So signed a deal with them. Then my mate hits me up, Alim, the guy from India. And he's like, yo, I got the Indian boys who are coming over again to Australia. Can you look after them? I'm like, yeah, get fucked. Like you said this last time 2 years ago and nothing happened. And I'm like, all right. So he FaceTimes me and he's with one of the dudes, Hardik Pandya, who's like, very well known. He's like he's been the captain of India, captain of Mumbai in the IPL, and they're on FaceTime with me. And this is 3 a.m. in the morning. My phone's going off. I'm like, I declined it. I'm like, I'm sleeping. It's like, quick answer. I want to introduce you to someone. So I meet Hardik. we're talking. I got no idea who this dude is.
Yeah.
Like, or any of the Indian cricketers.
yeah.
It's just not a thing that I even comprehended at
Yeah.
the time. And he's like, I'll see you soon, brother. Like, you know, we're coming down. I can't wait. Alim's told me everything about you. And, you know, I can't wait to get a haircut from you. I'm like, all right, sweet, bro. Back to sleep. I'm wrecked.
Yeah.
I got to get up in 3 hours for gym.
Yeah.
You know? They roll over the next month and they went to Perth first. And I got a call from a marketing agency. And there was a dude named Virat Kohli who's huge. He's got like 265 million followers on Instagram, like ridiculous.
Can't comprehend that.
You can't comprehend that number. It's like,
it's ridiculous.
It's crazy. And I get flown over to Perth to do a day shoot with him. Like, he's on set for an advertisement. This was before the World Cup had started, the T20 World Cup. And I'm like, yeah, sweet. So I did have that day of bookings booked in, but I'm like, this opportunity is a little bit different to like someone walking in off the street, you know, who wants a haircut. And we instantly hit it off. Like, I meet him there. Like, there's photographers, there's stylists, there's makeup people. I'm like the only dude there, you know. He rolls in with his personal manager, like, who looks after his personal stuff. And again, we've just got so much mutual things that we like, you know, boxing, things like that, like all different sports, you know. And the thing where we clicked the most was life, like mental state, things like that, you know. And we were just talking throughout the day about certain things that, you know, had happened in his life. And I usually don't open up like very, you know, quickly. I've got to really get to know someone. And yeah, I don't know, like, I had this energy from this dude, and I'm like, again, I don't get starstruck. I couldn't give a fuck if you've got 5 billion followers or anything, you know. If we relate, we're going to get along. And so we started talking, and then I ended up flying around with them to every city in Australia for that whole month of tournament that they were playing. Yeah, man. So cut his hair, got some content. Again, he's like, come here. He put up a story of me and him. We're just standing there, like, it was a pretty cool photo. I like it. I'll probably print it out one day. Put it up, man, and I think my Instagram went, at that time I'd had like 60 or 70,000 followers, which I'd built up, you know, from Education, international, other celebs, stuff like that. And it went, put it this way, by the time I woke up the next day, it was like triple. I was like, what the fuck is going on here? Isn't it? And then I'm like, what can I do with this? Like, apart from, great, you've got followers, how do you monetize this? Like, what do you do? So month goes by, I've looked after all the Indian cricketers, you know, interstate, and they came into my shop. Like, they were all coming to the shop, and they loved it because it's something they can't do in India. They can't just walk into a shop, get a haircut. Yeah. So that felt normal for them, you know, and it was just such a great experience meeting these kind of people. And I started getting heaps of clients who are from India. Like, I've got heaps of clients now who are Indian. Such good people. Like, and we relate really well because now I know so much about the Indian culture and like the background of these guys and things like that, you know. So it was pretty special. And essentially from there, you know, we have a product company as well, the Club Products. And I was putting it in Virat's hair when we were in the shop, and you know, we've got a few different products that do different things, and he loved them. And then we just got talking, and we went out to dinner one night with him and his manager, and we were talking about hair products, and they came up with the idea that we can do something. And you know, this was like a year and a half ago. So you've probably seen on social media, like, I was in and out of India for the last 6-7 months at the end of last year. Just in meetings with their project managers, things like that, working on building up this opportunity and potential brand to, you know, bring to India as a consumer range of hair products, you know, that will be a game changer for India because their hair products over there are on a bit of a different scale to how we do hair products here, you know, in terms of, you know, the organic side of things that we use and the specifics of the products. And So that's something on the down low we've been working on, but now I'm on camera, I've said it, so.
Yeah, exactly right.
It is what
Exclusive.
it is. Exclusivity.
Exclusive.
Yeah, so that's something we've been working on for a while, which I'm really excited. That's in partnership with Alim, my friend, who introduced me to all of them. And that's what I mean, like when I said at the start, something is going to click along the way where I'm going to meet the right person.
100%.
And something's going to happen. Something's going to change, whether it's anyone from any aspect of life, you know. But separate to that, you know, like building up that personal branding and stuff like that in India, which is like ultimately now become my market. It's now I'm opening the barber club there.
Yeah.
You know, so we're launching the first barber club shop in a month's time. Like, so it's just been a whirlwind of crazy emotions in the last like year, just based off meeting these cricket dudes.
Yeah.
You know? And it's like, what you have to do is adapt to your niche. You know, so if your niche today is the Indian cricket team, and tomorrow your niche is all the F1 drivers, you know, so I've cut a couple F1 drivers, and you find a business opportunity within that circle.
Yeah.
That's your niche for that moment.
Yeah.
You know, your niche doesn't have to be set on just one thing, and if it doesn't work, that's it. It's all over.
Yeah, exactly. You got to be able to adapt, don't you? And I think, again, I was having a conversation with someone the other day, even this is just a personal trainer, around like their niche audience and even their content, right? I think in any industry, people get caught in the trap of posting or pushing content towards what they think's really cool and what they really like. But it's like, what does your audience want? Yeah. Like, what is like, you need to cater to your audience. Like, and even like in the fitness industry, I'm sure it might be similar in the barber industry as well. But it's like people are posting shit to impress other coaches. Yeah. I'm like, man, you're fucking trying to reach a client who's going to pay you to monetize your business. Like, it's not a pissing contest to see who knows the most or how many technical terms you could use. But the key things that I kind of took away from all of your story up until now, which is wild, is the importance of networking and relationship building, which again, some of the greatest opportunities and a big reason why I'm even in a position I'm in now is literally all due to relationship building and things that potentially could have just turned out to be absolutely nothing, but the chance coffee or the giving someone your time for free or just helping someone without wanting anything in return has led to some of the greatest opportunities that I've had. And by the sounds of it, it's been a massive driving factor for you. I think that fork in the road where you could have gone to the left when you had that conversation with the old man and just gone, well, fuck it, like, and almost got resentful, but instead choosing to double down and fucking, you know, I'll show you that I'm going to go and put in the work. And it must be an incredible feeling now to, you know that your old man is incredibly proud of you, obviously, but at the same time, be doing something that, you know, I would assume is going to be setting up your family as well, which would be an amazing feeling.
That's the most important part for me. Like, I see dudes that have, and they're close people, they've got broken relationships with family, and I'm just like, oh, you need to sort that out. Like some things can't be sorted out, and there's personal details to that, but if it's just like bickering bullshit, I'm like, you got to sort that out, because your family is the only people that, no matter if the whole world turns against you, they're there with you. They're standing right there with you, and they're like, you'll be all right. Like, it'll be fine. You'll figure it out. You know, like for Dad, this is something more on the personal side. He was battling cancer for the last few years, and that got to him pretty badly. He was in hospital for a very long time. And that was something that, again, just ignited more fire in me to just do more. And now, every day, like, thankfully he got over it. Like, he's cleared awesome. That. He's got one more operation just to sort out some blood stuff that the chemotherapy stuffed around. But in saying that, like, he's on a good side of it now, which is really good. But every day, that's just like the driving factor. People say the driving factor should be you and what you want to do. But if your driving factor is allowing your family to have a better life and a better lifestyle, ultimately your lifestyle is going to be better anyway, because 100%. You're doing everything you need to do. That's, you know, whether it's financially, and financially doesn't matter at the end of the day. As long as you've got a purpose with what you're doing, every day I wake up, I'm like, my mum, my dad, my sister, my partner are the only things that I'm doing this for.
Yeah.
And if I fuck this up, that's on me.
Yeah.
It's not on them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'm in a position now where we can just grow. Like we're in movements opening another couple shops here very soon as well. You know, like everything's happening I wouldn't say all at once. Like when it comes to these kind of things, people say like, oh, overnight success. It's like, oh, this guy's like done this. You know, I've just locked in another few contracts with companies in India, scissor company and a razor company. And you know, they say, oh, overnight success. No, it was like 8 years that I've been doing this and taking chances and quitting jobs that I really wanted to keep and the hours that I was doing after hours and things like that. That is not on social media. You know, like certain things that have happened over time are not on social media. You know, like, and it's just been, for me, so motivational waking up every day and you know, I start with gym in the morning, all the cylinders are firing, ready to go, my clarity's there, I'm working. What have I got on? What have I got scheduled? I got a meeting for this, and this, you know? So now I'm at a point where I've got so many meetings during the week with all these brands and stuff that I'm doing overseas and here as well, that when I cut hair, it's like my day off.
Yeah.
I used to think like cutting hair was so like, it's hard. Like you're standing all day, stuff like that. I'm like, yes, it's Thursday. I'm cutting all day today. It's Friday, Saturday.
Yeah.
Sunday I'm relaxing, you know, and then back into it Monday, admin, life stuff, meetings, things like all that kind of stuff. So the balance is great now. As much as I'd love to cut more hair, just with everything going on, it's literally impossible, you know. And the guys at the shops, they know that, like our staff, you know, and there's not, you don't need to voice those things. They see it. They know what's going on.
Yeah, of course.
And fortunately, I'm in a position where I've been able to give past staff, present staff, so many opportunities that they have, you know, like been grateful for, and they most likely wouldn't have gotten other places, you know. And that's the driving factor for me every day is the more I do, the more I achieve in my personal world of what I'm doing, the more the people around me get to do things.
Bringing everyone with you.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah, man. Yeah. Mate, I've absolutely loved hearing like that, the whole story behind things, and it is super inspiring to start to just get to know you a little better and also just understand more about your story. But man, it's obvious that you're extremely driven and passionate for all of the right reasons. And as you said, once you are focused on those right reasons, you have perspective and you have the fulfillment, the rest of the shit comes with it. It's a byproduct of making sure you're focused in the right place in the first place. And I'm excited to keep watching you grow, man, and really excited to see how these projects go over in India and obviously the new locations here. You know, for those that are listening or watching at the moment, we'll obviously have all the links to Jordan's socials and all the business side of things in the show notes. And of course, if you're around the Port Melbourne area and soon Sydney and Richmond area, make sure you get into the Barbers Club. Go and get a cut. Go and get the mullet fade. But I appreciate you coming in, brother, and I'm looking forward to staying connected and watching you grow, man.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Absolute pleasure, brother. If you guys have enjoyed this episode, which I'm sure you have, and taken value from today's show, we'd love for you to take a screenshot of this episode, share it on your Instagram story, or to send the link to this episode to someone you care about or a friend. Of course, subscribe to the show if you haven't already. And yeah, thanks so much for your attention, and pumped to share this episode with Jordan, with you guys.